All right, 6:30, we call the meeting to order. John Humphrey, board member.
Amy Kemp, board. Board, Ryan, board.
Jake Jacobs, staff.
Teddy Rowland, board.
Dean Hobart, I'm an attorney.
I'm Wolfram, staff.
Jackie. Angie.
Angie Segovia, board.
Jillian.
Jillian Rainingbird, board.
Denise.
Denise Talbert, board.
Okay. Rebecca Case appears, Brian Hogan. Neil Ciara. Patrick Shammy, Roger Montero, staff. Lisa Galvin, Elizabeth Moran, ex officio. Georgie McNamara, Amanda George, Caleb Clifford, Kristen Yates. Mary Lou, you have a surname we can enter into the record?
Herrick.
You have a surname we can enter into the record.
Mary Lou Herrick.
This is a special meeting. Bylaws call for nomination of an acting chair. And I self-nominate. Anybody else desire? Board, please. We need to vote on the nominees for acting chair, board members. I nominate George.
Before we go any further, I have a statement of comment.
Your objection to be filed afterward. Transcript.
John, we're having a lot of difficulty hearing. I'm sorry. I think everyone or a lot of folks through Zoom are having difficulty hearing.
I'm gonna go ahead and state my objection. 3 days notice was not given for this. That's the 1 day notice.
If the bylaws require an acknowledgement of the notice. I received notice of the last week.
The notice was published.
Which notice is that? This one?
All right, Mr. Hobart, if you continue to be disruptive, the meeting, we will have.
This notice didn't include the agenda, the agenda wasn't out, so. There you go. Charges against me, so this was what was sent about a little over 24 hours ago. The motion for removal from the board. Removal of chair on the board. There was not sufficient notice, there were no notice would include the charges that were against me to justify removing me from the board. That I've never received, although I did receive the
have to be any charter. The agenda has been modified.
Are
Only-
you speaking as the attorney for the board?
I'm speaking to the person that proposed the agenda to begin with.
I mean, I think that that might be a question of law. Under section 2, it says that special meetings of the board of directors may be called at any time by the chair upon 3 business days, acknowledged notification, or by 5 members by the board upon 3 business days, acknowledged notification to each board member. So
Here
Jay,
you
you
are.
sent the notification. Did you receive acknowledgement via email from how many people?
From Denise, and from, Joy.
Right, so you
And
received
from
2
myself.
acknowledgements,
Myself, we don't.
and
George?
there's no provision in the bylaws for a waiver of acknowledgement of that notification. And again, we are under state statute 2059, and under that law, it reiterates this notice situation that
All right, we've
under.
got your memorandum, and
You can't stop her from talking. She's a board member.
actually, I call for a vote on the acting chair.
I nominate John.
Vote on acting chair.
All in favor, John.
Aye. Board members online, can you hear what we're saying?
Not very well.
There has been a nomination for acting chair for the purposes of this meeting. John Humphrey was nominated and George was nominated. We have called for a vote on John Humphrey's nomination. We have an aye from Tammy Kemp and from Susan Borgmeyer and from John Humphrey. Any other ayes for John Humphrey as acting chair for this meeting only?
Aye. Aye.
Jillian. Jillian is an aye. Denise is an aye. Angie,
Aye.
any other board member? Okay, so for the purposes of this meeting, I will be acting as chair. The question that I propose is the removal of our current chair position as chair.
So moved.
Second,
So,
under the law,
so if you're acting chair, I'm under Robert's rules of order. You can't make the motion.
I make.
You know, and I will second that.
we're just asking for a different chair. Motion has been made and seconded.
I gave you Article 5, Section 9 of the bylaws.
Noted.
Go ahead and state what facts support your claim. Secondly, this meeting is not
Noted. Thank you.
lawful.
All right,
Mr. Humphrey, if I may.
ma'am. Wait, before we get
Oh,
into
we
cause.
have to vote on that.
Yeah.
I made the motion. Second prior discussion.
We don't need to discuss the reasons why we're asking for a change of chair if we have a 2/3 majority or a majority or 2/3 majority of the eligible voters.
I don't see in the bylaws where it addresses removing somebody's chair. Where is that addressed in our
I
bylaws?
read your board policy manual.
Jason, we do not have legal representation for the board on these legal questions.
Our attorney, they don't represent the board, they represent. They don't, not people, not, that's not represent individual,
Well, exactly. That's why we,
you cannot make it.
so
Can I ask a question? Why can't we publicly lay out the accusation? What is our goal? Because I've been in the dark on this. I have no understanding what we're trying to do. I'd like to know what the parts are. I'd like to know, I think anybody that is charged, that's trying to do this, would like to know what they're guilty of, what they're charged.
Sure, if I may. On,
If we're having a hearing for the bylaws.
We haven't been given notice.
you're
Or
giving
an
notice on-
opportunity to be heard.
you're giving
For the
notice on
record,
April
Yet here you are.
Yep, yeah, here I am. For the record, this is a violation of
Yes.
Teddy Rowland's
Let me
rights to
talk
due
about it.
process.
So if there's testimony, the bylaws state that it must be under oath.
Unless there's argument. And so far, there's not testimony.
I don't see that, Don. I don't see that in the bylaws.
I know.
I don't see that in,
So it's all.
please show me where that is in the bylaws, that you unilaterally get to act. I don't see anything in there that addresses removing a chair. It says that a chair shall serve for a one-year term. Under any action on a board member, it specifically says that witnesses shall be sworn in by oath or affirmation before testifying. Give me a moment.
Tammy. Well, you have a hired lawyer in your chair. I don't have to do your research for you. Trust me that I figured it would come to this, and so I followed all of our governing mandates, the statutes, the bylaws, the board policies. We're just asking for a different chair. Sir.
I would think, again, if we're going to follow our bylaws, there is section 9, if you wanted to lay out the rationale, the reasoning of why we're at this point. I think that the rest of the board members would like to hear this information so we can make an intellectual discussion. That's it.
may I proceed?
Tammy, discuss.
Prior to March 30th, the previous meeting, I think the notes will reflect that I had requested copies of surveys from our search committee. I received a email from Ms. Rowland to.
And just as a point of order, I think there's some people out on the screen that maybe having difficulty to hear, so you may want to speak up or maybe.
I don't, that usually works really well.
Yeah.
How can you make sure that the speaker is connected, the microphone is connected?
Is it a situation like or?
Can you hear us louder
Switch the
now?
audio input?
Any louder now?
Jillian, can you hear us? Angie? No.
Not very well. I can hear when you like direct it right here, but the rest of the people I can't really hear.
Yeah, I can hear John. It's hard hearing everybody else. I'm gonna jump off and hop on my phone and put my earbuds on just so I can hear a little bit better. So I'll be jumping right back on.
I'm really sorry. I'm in over my head.
Too fast.
How's that? Is that any better? Angie, is that better?
Is it,
You're
is the
right.
microphone working over there on that computer or?
Yes.
Is the working?
Is it working now? Can you hear me?
100% better. 100% better.
Yep.
Okay, so I had requested from Ms. Rowland the results of the survey by our search committee and our search provider. In the last meeting, as the minutes will reflect the results of the survey. She communicated with me prior to March 30th and directed me to the website for those reasons. I noted that those only included the numeric notations and asked for the further responses due to feeling that they are valuable for the entire board. I received the following email. Please see the attached information. Ann Graff explained that the survey is part of their confidential internal work product used to develop the position profile and discern candidates for the position. Survey recipients were assured that the responses would remain anonymous and confidential so they can ensure honest responses. She does not know herself who responded. She asked that this remain confidential and not be shared. The timeline has also been added to the board docs online. She copied myself and Jake on this email. The report that I received under additional challenges the new director may face, ETOS board responses indicated no responses. This is a falsification of documentation. As the original point, I later learned the ETOS board member responses included: one, there exists a contentious issue regarding our facilities, the maintenance of the facilities, and difficulties with the person in charge of maintenance. Some outspoken board members have a great deal of loyalty to the current executive director. Despite best efforts, these certain board members are effective at driving an agenda that may not be in the best interest of our providers and the community we serve. I also was advised that Ms. Graff had actually offered to send the complete report to the entire board, and Ms. Rowland denied that request.
That's not true.
Okay, let me finish. My concerns in this area are not about what she said. I'm fully aware that she thinks that I am supportive of Jake. If she has a reason for us not to be supportive of Jake, as chair, she has a responsibility to explain that to us. And I have not in my 10+ years on the board had any reason to doubt Jake's ability in this position. Her statement is not pertinent to the new ED, and if it could not be shared honestly with the board, it had no pertinence to the search company. Secondly, as we previously discussed in the last meeting, the board had come to a decision that all members would be included in the search. Ms. Rowland then took it upon herself to say that board members would not have access to the video portions of the interviews, that it would just be the search committee. We did get that changed in the last meeting, but it appears that she is trying to circumvent the rest of the board. In addition, she wasn't including Jake, which was an express request of the board that Jake be included on those interviews. Additionally, in relation to job one, the board reached a consensus that a letter of cease and desist would be sent to job one. Teddy refused to send the letter that was approved by the board and our attorney. In addition, when job one's board president suggested or requested the meeting minutes from the meeting, Teddy, who has repeatedly educated us on sunshine laws, told Jake to ignore the sunshine request and proper procedure and to just provide the minutes. And during the last discussion regarding the job one issue, in which we all understand that a mistake was made, that it was poor decision making, but it went against job one and ETOS's contract and could have put us in huge liability. Ms. Rowland's comment was, it's political. And I think it may be political for Ms. Rowland because of her employment, because of her marriage to the current mayor of Independence, who would be responsible to job one, have some interest in their membership and strong standing with the Independence Chamber of Commerce. And I think that those interests constitute conflict of interest that should preclude her from being chair.
Let's be clear. That's not, none of that is evidence, and if you make a decision based on it, you violated the law. Let's be very clear.
So,
So Chairman, I would request comment. Chair.
yes,
I can't even remember the number of statements there to mischaracterize. First of all,
Which we have not had a chance to prepare for, which is required by the statute.
chair is not recognized, Teddy's attorney.
If you want to deny her right to counsel while you deprive her due
I mean,
process.
I would agree with that statement that all of these accusations seem overwhelming in mischaracterizations. I never denied anybody the opportunity to participate in the process for interviewing candidates. As a matter of fact, I handed out the dates for that. I just said that if we were going to participate, whoever participated has to participate in the interviews. You can't make a decision coming to one and not another, that you need to be completely involved. I never, ever, this was quite a commitment, a daytime commitment. So this was the discussion with the members on the search committee that we needed to make sure that we planned it far enough in advance so people could mark their calendar. There was never, ever any kind of move to deny access to any of that information. I will say on the Zoom call that we had with Ann Brack, she stated that that this was confidential and that this was their work product and this was the information they used in trying to formulate their position profile and to discern candidates. And this was their practice. When I responded, the email I had from the board member on the survey, she reiterated that this was their work product and had said during the Zoom, she said, we really want these comments to remain confidential. She said that several times and at the outset. She also reiterated that the comment about the facilities she heard multiple times in interviews throughout the day that she came. The three of us, as well as many members of the search committee, took an entire day off to meet with her to talk about the search process. I felt like the search process, and I believe Ann felt as well, that the search process had been going exceedingly well and was very positive. I think that the fact that we are having this meeting alone speaks to the concerns that would be legitimate concerns for an incoming executive director. I also think that when a survey is presented, we do many surveys. It seems to be that if we're going to try to determine, because the comment was made to me, who responded to the survey, who were the agencies that responded, that then why do a survey if we're just going to nitpick who said what and not take the information as any kind of constructive way? Why are we wasting time and effort on surveys where we just want to hear good things and we don't ever want to know what's going on? We're very limited as volunteer board members to know actually what opinions and feelings and thoughts of our stakeholders that we work with, our providers, our employees,
And
and
those
to do
need to be
this.
shared with the entire board.
Whoa,
And again, Ann said she was reluctant to include comments, especially when they had people's names attached. However, every person who asked me for that, I sent it to them. So it's not like I did not deny anybody information. I never denied anyone any ability to participate or any information. We had, I'm not finished, please. We had a board meeting and we had 2 board meetings. There was a kind of a loose discussion about an action to be taken. That never was completed. I believe that the chair, the executive director was tasked with that. We came together roughly a week later for a second board meeting where we had a very vigorous and open discussion. And I felt like that everybody was given an open opportunity. There was nobody that was blocked from speaking whatever they wanted to say. A motion was made and there was a second and we held a vote. And as I said, I was going to vote no. I did not threaten any political repercussions. I only said that Jake had said from the outset that had we been notified, this was probably something we would have approved. And that I felt like that he had been notified that they were ceasing this operation. And we even discussed, well, is this move, stepping up to a legal action appropriate? And there was further discussion about modifying the motion. And Susan was working on doing that in the minutes. My understanding from the discussion was that we would direct the executive director to manage that situation. And as far as I'm aware, he has done so and has worked with the attorneys on that. I did not prevent that from happening. I never stood in the way of that. If you're going to send a legal document, it should come from the attorneys for the organization. It would be inappropriate for a legal document to be sent by the board. Also, I would think that all of our members would find that if they ever, we have a due diligence to speak and say whatever concerns us and to cast a vote on what we believe, and that I would think that it would have a chilling effect on every board member here to think that if at some point they disagreed and they spoke out and made comments that wasn't with the majority, that there might be a retribution action like this. So 24 hours ago, which was not adequate notice of this hearing and this meeting and this action, what was going to take place. So again, not adequate notice, but I'm failing to see how we agreed, and it's in the minutes and it's on the video, that we tasked Jake with that. There were questions about the search process. I think I was definitely caught hard on giving that update. And so George and I had discussed that we should probably have, a closed session after our next meeting so that we could go over the process and where we are. Shortly after that, we got an update from Ann and proceeding with that process and trying to see, being sure that we included everyone who is available to be included on some sort of reception, meeting with all of our providers, touring the building, meeting the employees. In no way did I, certainly didn't, I do not promote to be a perfect person in this chairmanship or on this board, but certainly wanted this process to be a positive move forward for the organization. We all met in February. We talked about ideas on our job description. We invited staff so that they can have input and feel a part of it. It's a very important move for all of them. And I think they appreciated that we were being supportive and appreciated all of that. In no way do I ever believe that we denied any member access to information. Like I said, we're just in the middle of the process and we're planning on the update we had at our next regular board meeting. I don't think that my husband is pertinent to this discussion. The mayorship, we all, I think many people agreed with Jake's position that, that moving on to this new person, this new executive director, that it was important to work collaborative with our stakeholders and our organizations. It was important to be politically savvy and work well with the party in Jeff City, with our county legislature, and certainly with our area governments. So I am failing to see how any action I did was unethical or rose to any level, are not applying duty of care or the parts of our bylaws that would rise to this action. And again, I repeat, the bylaws really don't address the chairmanship. They do address removing a person. And the standards were conduct prejudicial to the good order and efficient operation of ETOS or its services, including but not limited to disruptive interactions with staff, board members, and providers, and neglect of core fiduciary duties, duty of care, duty of loyalty, and duty of obedience. So I am here to speak in my defense. I repeat, I would think any board member would find it chilling to think that if ever there came a time that they had a different opinion, that then the next move would be to remove them from either their position or as a member of the board that we're appointed to.
Can I respond?
Well, I just want to clarify, I think the call was for a change in chairperson, not for you to be off the board.
But again,
And this didn't originate from the difference of opinion. It originated, culminated from redacting comments and falsifying documentation.
But I did, again, so let me address that. I did not do that. I had a conversation with Ann Graff. I told Jake I was going to call Ann about that. We all got that cover letter that she drafted, saying that this would be anonymous and confidential. And my point being to Ann was that had I known that it would not remain confidential, I would not have said it, because I didn't want to end up in a situation like this. But I do feel like that the simple fact that we are here tonight having this discussion speaks to the validity of the point.
And again, I would state that as a chair, you have a responsibility to share those concerns with the entire board. And again, you have given me no reason to not be supportive of our executive director.
Yeah, and if I may speak,
Can I ask a question?
yes,
I'm sorry. What was the commentary that would say anything if they are disagreeing with Jake's performance? I didn't. Can you read that again? I didn't hear
just to
that.
recap, the survey that was sent out.
I got that part.
Okay.
Which is, what was the
We're
statement?
asking the board that-
Yeah, what was the statement that Tammy read? I want to hear that again.
Okay, there exists a contentious issue regarding our facilities, the maintenance of the facilities, and difficulties with the person in charge of
That
maintenance.
is true.
We have not heard any of that since.
I have.
Okay.
I have.
The full board has not.
All right, that's fine. But I have. That's okay.
Some outspoken board members have a great deal of loyalty to the current executive director.
That would include me.
Okay, then you have a responsibility to share that with the entire board.
Okay, well,
Despite
I agree.
best efforts, these certain board members are effective at driving an agenda that may not be in the best interest of our providers in the community we serve.
Yeah, I mean,
But that has nothing, I'm trying
And that's
to
not
get my arms around how that affects Jake's performance. I don't get
So
it.
why was it redacted?
I don't know. How do you know that I didn't write that comment?
I know.
How do I know that he didn't write it?
I know that there are people.
Let me ask another question while we're here. How do we go from point A to point C without reaching out to this lady and trying to help her. I tried to talk, I didn't try to, I talked to this man and asked him to help support her when I got your note the other day. I told him I was gonna get back under my rock, but I failed to understand, John, why didn't we call her and ask her to go to lunch or have a conversation with her?
Do you know how many times I've reached out to her?
I have no idea.
I had a conversation with George. George was, said that he would be having a conversation with Teddy. John tried several times to reach Teddy, and we came to a meeting.
So in the packet that my attorney distributed was my email that and I'm sorry, people online, you were not able to see that statement, but there were this page-long, just, this was sent last Monday, the 4th, not yesterday. The other one was sent yesterday. He wanted to have a comment with me. I said, at this point, if this meeting is not going to be canceled, that, I would think that it was better that we communicated via email once I contacted an attorney to get advice on how to handle this. There were accusations, it was manipulative, it was bullying in the wording in this email.
Whose email are you talking to?
I'm talking about the email I received from you, from the chair at the moment, from last Monday.
What
That
page are you on?
it's Exhibit 6.
Oh, yeah, go on.
That this email completely misrepresented, said that I screamed the appearance of impropriety, that I admonished board members. My only recall was sending an email saying, can we respond reflectively to the situation? That we be cognizant of our obligations under sunshine law, and that we not be discussing this via a group email. The last meeting, the attorney agreed that that was a violation of Missouri sunshine law, and so that was reiterated. I was accused of collusion. I was accused of impropriety because my husband was running for mayor. I praise that other board members should ever receive such an insightful, such a bullying. I mean, it was absolute bullying email that demanded that I respond by 3 p.m. or you were going to call a special board meeting to have me removed from the board. It says that you,
Can I speak again? I'm disappointed. Can I speak, Mr. Chairman?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm disappointed. We don't need to be here right now. You didn't need to go this far. Here's what we're doing right now today. We're passing on a very contentious board to our future executive director because of this conversation. It's unfortunate that we didn't try to help this lady instead of trying to. John, that is very, very strong language in reading that. Don't ever send me a note like that.
I found a comment. I had asked for the survey because I didn't have it.
and I sent it to you.
And I got it and somebody else had sent me one. And I noticed that this comment from a board member was missing in the one Teddy sent me. And I'm looking at this comment and it's like, holy,
So we want to shoot her?
No.
How do you know that I didn't write this, John?
because
Because what?
I know Teddy enough, well enough.
I'd be careful.
I'm just saying.
I get it. How do I know
My
that you
point-
didn't write that comment?
My point is that when I got a copy of the survey that I requested from our chair that was different than that our executive director search people provided, I want to know why. And there's only,
Why didn't we ask
let
that
me
question?
finish. Sure.
I asked that question to the other members of the board committee and the executive committee. And got no answer.
And the job
You talking
one,
about me personally?
No, you, George, and
I-
Susan, right? there, but
the job
that's all
one
he asked,
issue
right?
is completely.
What was that communication? I don't know that.
The straw for me was when 8 or 7 of the board members present voted to send job one a letter to
And I
stop
voted
it.
for that as well.
And she said, I won't put my name on it. This is not an option.
He said,
And
Whoa.
excuse me. Oh, if you can't handle what he, get out of the case.
You talking to me?
And so I sent her an email saying, Teddy, or a text. I said, Teddy, you're the chair. You've got to put your name on the stuff that the board asks you to. No response.
that the board
I'm-
meeting never called for me to put my name on it. Jake contacted the attorney. He asked the question. I responded that it should come from the attorney. I was not in favor of this. It seems disingenuous for me to put my name on it when it's a legal document. He contacted the attorneys and our vice chair agreed that, first of all, it should come from the attorneys and he wanted to see it before it went out. That's what was said, John. That's what was said.
And you directed that the letter not be sent because you had handled it.
I don't know where
Not
that
true.
was. I don't know where that comment comes from. Could you
That's what
enlighten
we,
me?
that's what we were told in the previous meeting.
Are you willing to resign the chair?
Are you willing to have a
Can
legal
you
hearing?
please not
No,
interrupt?
I'm, point of clarification from the chair. Acting chair. Tell me again the statement, because I'm not identifying it was handled, what was handled.
That you had spoken to the chair of the job one board and it was being taken care of.
So George and I said, okay, so this was a situation where there was a flurry of emails after I asked for emails to not go to my work email. It was kind of an emergency situation to stop that flurry of emails that not only were in violation of sunshine law, but I had just the night before requested that that email not be used. So
Because of conflict of interest
no, because it's my work email.
that we've used for years.
I think I have a right to choose which email I use for communication with the board.
Then you can give us some grace and not automatically responding to the general
Right.
email that we've used for years.
Jake admitted that it was an error, and then everybody replied all. Now, if a board is honoring sunshine law, they wouldn't be replying all, so that wouldn't be the urgent situation. At the exact same time, George and I were talking and trying to handle a situation where, as we discussed, there were clearly one executive director was angry and another executive director is angry. And we were trying to communicate as board chair and vice chair with the board chair, and it ended up being secretary of another board to try to come to, as we said, a positive, mutually agreeable solution. We came to investigate, we toured, we looked at what was there. It was a very positive interaction. And
Without
we felt like
notifying the rest of us.
we felt like we had a positive interaction and we came back to report that. But before any of that could follow through, there was a lot of very incendiary emails flurry that were problematic, again, because of sunshine law. And we were trying to calm and de-escalate, I would say is how I would characterize it. Because clearly, people hadn't responded, people were mad, we understand that. We're not responsible for that other board, but we are responsible for our executive director. And those actions I outlined in our bylaws. So that there's nothing in our bylaws that doesn't say that is an appropriate
The board,
act for the chair.
the board consensus was that a cease and desist would be sent.
And
And you
this
told
this
Jay-
interaction was well before that.
No.
It was before we had a meeting.
I want to go back to this.
Let me just clarify that.
I'm gonna make one statement. This is easy to make me look like the AWOT here. Because you have kept from your peers my attempts to solicit a response, an interaction from you that went ignored. And
It's there. So, John, acting chair. So yesterday I received a text message followed by an email saying that you wanted to speak with me.
no,
I
long before
consulted,
this, before this,
I'm
Very
not sure. The
respect-
one
very
where you talked
respectfully-
about my granddaughter?
Very respectfully, I'd like to very respectfully not get into the facts of the case, just as an attorney generally. There are a significant amount of legal issues you guys are getting into and deciding and making assumptions on. That's aside from all the rest of it. I'm not sure how you do this without your own lawyer to
Right.
tell you.
Can we hear George?
first you have to be recognized by the acting chair.
Can we hear George?
Yeah, please.
So the conversation that Teddy and I had with Job One was prior to the setting of the levy.
Correct.
So I just want to make sure we're clear on this because there seems to be a confluence of facts of when the timeline, when it comes in and it doesn't. So we went to Job One, had a conversation with them and discussed with them about our thoughts about the situation, our thoughts about their current lease with us, all those things. We then left from them, thought it was a positive meeting. We clarified the area with them. We came back, reported to the board, full board, that was in attendance at that meeting. This is what we want to do. This is what happened. Here are the facts. What do you guys as the board want to do with this information? At that point, then we had a loose discussion about saying a cease and desist letter. Now, we thought very loosely that the letter was going to go out. It didn't quite happen that way, so we came back to the next meeting, which I believe was just our last meeting.
Right.
And we said, fine, since there was a misunderstanding of that little meeting that we had before on the phone, let's just be very, very concrete now. But at this point, the information that we had now know from the cease and desist had changed because of communication with their ED to our executive director. So now that letter had changed. And so now that letter has still had to go out. I do admit, I do agree that sometimes we're gonna have disagreements on this board, but if we decide as a collective democracy that we're gonna say, I've noted my displeasure or I don't agree with the decision we're gonna do, that's in the minutes, but then the letter still has to go out, because we still represent the organization. As far as the survey results, I believe, again, it's my belief that she didn't do anything wrong. I think what should have happened is again, communication, which usually gets us in trouble. And we don't communicate very fully. So she believed that the results of what she put in the survey, what she originally thought was going to be for that search committee, which is again, a separate issue, which we'll clear up at the next meeting that we're going to have. But I think I thought, and I was in some of those meetings, that we thought that the search committee was going to make decisions, bring forward to the full board, here's what we discovered, here's the people that are coming forward. That information came forward to the full board. At that point, people were like, no, I want to be more involved in that. Okay, cool, we can pivot. right? So that changes. So now knowing that information, she now believes that, oh, the information I thought was gonna be within this small little bundle is gonna be public information to the full board and may cause some problems. If we were to go back in time, I would say, let that comment just ride, and then we have a discussion and we keep going.
But
But-
which comment?
Let her original comment in the survey, just leave it there and we'll just address it. Right? She felt otherwise and say, hey, this is gonna be incendiary, it's gonna cause some problems before going forward. So then she calls the Ann and says, hey, not just take this comment out, take all my survey results out. So instead of having 88 surveys, you have 87, just take them all out. So I'm not picking and choosing which part of the survey I'm gonna take out, just take all my survey results out. And then that way, that's the information that goes to the full board, and at that point, probably a disclosure should have said, hey, everybody, this is what happened. But it didn't occur that way, and so now here we are, April 12th, having this big discussion about a lot of words.
And not all of the results were redacted because
According to Ann, they were.
Ms. Borgmeyer has stated that she did not complete the survey, and the survey contained results from 8 board members.
My question is this, we were assured that the survey results were submitted anonymously. How would they have known to take all of your answers out? I mean, that's just a rhetorical question.
I would like to go back to the cease and desist letter. If you can help my recollection as secretary. During our special board meeting, when we first discussed, I believe it was the consensus of the board.
What the consensus of the board minute at the next meeting. And to be honest, when I learned that you hadn't sent it, I gasped. That it wasn't sent. I mean, that
And why was it-
take response.
Why was it not
The
sent?
direction was. not to send it.
Because of all the talk of lawsuits, I have put together a timeline of what I've been a party to. On the 10th of March, we had the special board meeting about the job one. That was the first meeting. I was asked to contact the ETOS attorney to draft a cease and desist letter. I was also asked to contact Mr. Martin to request a copy of their sublease agreement with Alpha Point and the cost of utilities that was discussed. Mr. Holcomb was asked to contact the insurance company. Ms. Mock was asked to ascertain if Alpha Point was still serving under the beach people. The very next day, I sent an email to our attorney, Dale Wirtz, asking him to prepare the cease and desist letter. I sent an email to Aaron Martin requesting a copy of the agreement with Alpha Point and utility costs. I never received a reply. At that same day, Teddy contacted me and asked for a copy of the video from the 1994, from the special warning. On the 12th, Dale Wirtz sent me the draft and cease and desist letter. On the 15th, after the search committee meeting, I talked to you in the parking lot and I said, I told you I had the draft letter from our attorney, and if you want me, did you want me to send it out to the board? And you said no, that the job one board was meeting this week and that they were going to cancel their contract without the point, so there was no need for the letter. And that happened on the 15th. Then we met again on the 21st, I mean, the 22nd rather. And that's when they adjusted the letter and decided not to make it so legal or whatever. And then that one was mailed out. That's the one that was eventually mailed out. So there was a little confusion, I think, in the timeline.
It was.
But remember,
that our discussion in the parking lot was that it may be moot because of the whole.
It wouldn't
that it
be
was going to
moot because it was
continue to.
the board consensus to send the letter. It would not
That
be.
I
moot.
didn't say, I said it may be moot pending their board meeting, and I'd ask you if you'd heard a response, which was
Yeah.
delayed.
Yeah.
I mean, I just think it's being characterized as nefarious, but I don't believe it was nefarious. Did you feel that I was being nefarious, or?
No, I was a little shocked because the board had said do the letter. And I was to send it to the executive committee to review it, to make sure we covered what we were gonna
And then
cover.
everybody said they wanted to see it. And there was responses on that. And from George and Denise and John and then we were having a meeting the next week. So I think the subject came back up, right? And there was discussion again, and then there was kind of discussion about modifying the wording. So,
At that time.
and then we did,
At that second meeting, the first one, we did not have a vote, it was definitely consensus. The first one, when we talked about.
yes, there was not a vote at the first.
Definitely a consensus. And at the second meeting, there was question about sending this letter again
Yes.
and why it had not been sent the first time. And it was my impression, that for whatever reason, you had said no. And for whatever reason, I can remember saying, but there was a consensus. There was that letter did
I
not
mean, I do
go.
remember having that interaction, and then we had further discussion. Then there was a lot of discussion about modifying the strength of the language.
Because it had not previously been sent as directed by the board.
But the discussion was to not be stronger wording, but less, whatever the word would be.
After the fact.
May I make just interrupt again? At the first time, it was a consensus, and if that consensus was not followed, which it was not done, nobody knew that. That the board was not notified that you didn't do that. You
Well,
didn't.
we were discussing the agenda.
But you did not say, oh, I think it's moved at this point or anything. I'll let the board know. That
Well,
we
I think
didn't-
Jake did let the board know at that meeting.
No, I'm saying before, there was this time span between those two meetings.
Sure,
It was the first meeting, wasn't it, where you said that you wouldn't put your name on it?
that, I did not say that at the meeting. That was never said in the meeting.
That was the
I
second.
think it was definite at the second meeting.
Okay, then
And I didn't
Kenny
say it,
did not
I
agree.
never, no.
We can check the tape.
Sure you can. No, I'm just,
No, we discussed that it would come from the attorney. Again, I'm not following how this is, it's like splitting hairs.
It may seem like splitting hairs, but when there's a consensus and it isn't followed, I thought, well, somebody's taken it into their own hands to make those decisions for themselves. That's what I felt like, Teddy. That's just what I felt like.
We had a formal discussion. I stated my opinion. We took a vote. I said motion passed.
Teddy, the first time when there was a consensus and we all thought the letter was going out. And when I found out, my feeling was it was a consensus and it was stopped. And I believe it was stopped because of your comments. And so you took it upon yourself
My
to
comment
make
was
that decision for the board. And that was my, that's been an issue
the
with
question
me.
posed to me was, should this go out under my signature? And my response was, it should not go out under the chair's signature. It should go out from the attorney. And George agreed with me. So many of these actions, I've been in regular consultation with the vice chair to manage this transition and these issues.
We're back to the thing though. There was a consensus and it didn't go. It had nothing to do with the signature. It had nothing to do with any of it. It had to do.
But
with
I
it
don't know
went-
why it didn't go. At the time of that email,
that we responded to, I fully expected it to go. I do not know why it didn't go. I did not stop it from going.
You said it was a moot point.
That was like a week later.
Right. Before the week,
I would have
Meeting
thought
the
it
week
would have been
after.
sent by then.
it would have been sent only after your review of it.
All right, can I ignore the explosive nature of all of my previous comments? Would you, do you think it is prudent and in the best interest of the organization to go forward with the current chair in the chair position? Madam
Is that for-
Teddy?
I'm not the acting chair here. I'm sorry. What?
I said, would you as a board member think it's prudent to go forward for this organization with the current chair as chair? If you stay in the chair, if there's this much dissension and confusion.
So may I respond? I don't believe I was the one who sent the emails and called this board meeting and called for me to be removed from the board. Who made phone calls or emails that I'm not even aware of. So I believe I'm being accused of creating dissension when I think that that was private conversations or emails that were disparaging to my character that I didn't have the opportunity to respond to. So I feel like these communications behind my back were coloring other board members' perspective. I feel, that my reputation has been slandered by these accusations and that is unfair. It's like you're complaining about dissension and acting like I created it. I wasn't the one who.
Mark, these are not accusations behind your back. I sent them to you before I had any discussion with anybody. I'm just asking if
And I
you
responded.
want to stay as the chair.
John, can I
Yes, please.
interject? I think that what we really need to do, John, is focus on what we're trying to accomplish with this. The job at hand is replacing a valued executive director. What I'd like to propose is we continue to move forward as is and support this lady and help her do her job. And if we have questions about clarity in the future, what I would suggest is get past the sunshine law or whatever is creating this situation and communicate with each other so we can come to consensus. I want to say it again. I'm sitting here listening to this meeting. This is ridiculous. We should not be here right now. We should all be at home with our families. We should be trying to replace a valued 16-year executive director, and we are not focusing on the job. And this is a circus.
I just wanted to.
It's a circus, John. It should have never gotten here, ever. And we should, it's disturbing to me. I don't like this. We shouldn't be here.
I don't either.
Okay, then why in the Sam H didn't we sit down as a group and resolve this instead of going through this?
Because
But
like
this is
sunshine,
not-
we cannot.
Well, then let's get over sunshine and call a special meeting in here.
That's what we're doing.
This is before this one, Tammy, before this one. And sit down and talk in a civil manner as good people trying to accomplish a job for our children. You and I have a child.
Will you take the chair?
I will not.
We do not have a child together for the.
No, we do not. No, we don't. Thank you. Thank you. But we do have children. We do have something in common. We're trying to achieve the common good
I get it.
for this. Okay. And that's what we should have done. And Tammy, to respond to you, you have been so good to me. I'm so proud of you and what you've done here, but this is not right. This is wrong. I don't care what the bylaws say. This is wrong. And we shouldn't be here, John.
Ed, I mean,
What?
you have seen us over the years.
I have.
There has never been an issue.
And there shouldn't be right now,
If
John.
we are
There shouldn't be right now, John.
concerned, we're not making it up for any reason other than we are concerned about. the
Then why didn't we have a meeting and talk through this together as a group of 9 people and try to resolve it.
Sunshine.
May I,
But we can still, we've called for this meeting, sunshine didn't prevent this meeting.
for the record, read the purported incendiary email for the other board members, because they did not receive a copy.
Which, I'm sorry.
I'll provide it digitally to whoever you tell me to send it to.
Which one are we talking about?
The,
I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I got emotional.
So that one, right?
This one?
Yes.
Mr. Chair, Acting Chair, I will be happy to provide that digitally if,
You.
to whoever would like it to be sent to, if you would like that.
Mr.
I
Chairman,
don't
by the
have
way,
easily
I want to apologize for being emotional.
No,
Yes, I do, but this is crazy.
no, and I don't want it necessarily read into the record.
Okay.
I will be glad, this was intended for Teddy and Teddy only. When I thought that we had been specifically deceived purposely,
It's in this packet.
because the comments, I mean, this is why I assumed the comment.
Second one.
Mr. Acting Chair. Yes. May I make a suggestion?
Yes.
We've got two sides of the ball. We've got a group that thinks we shouldn't be here. And we've got a group that thinks there was unforgivable sin. From what I've heard, just as a third party, and I understand you've all been doing this for a very long time, I've certainly heard my fair share of disagreements. There absolutely was a lack of communication and a lack of good communication. I make excuses for nobody. I am paid to be here on behalf of Ms. Rowland, but what I see is a group of people that are in this room because they do care about their individual children, because they care deeply about the organization. This is, if you're really going to remove people and you're really either off the board or from a chairpersonship, it's a bit sticky. Not trying to put gum in your works unnecessarily or gum up your spokes. It's a bit sticky. My recommendation, although you'll think it strictly benefits my client, is that there needs to be some healing and there needs to be some resolution some way between the two sides. Now, I'm not a mediator and I'm not here for that. If you have a lawyer that can act in that capacity, if you have a neutral third party that you all would trust, whether you decide at some point to go ahead and forward with the full hearing and do something, that would be your decision. Certainly, this is your organization, everybody in here. If you don't and you want to persist tonight, I can appreciate that. I haven't helped things any by being aggressive. You certainly took the first step by asking a very nice and calm question. I appreciated that. So, of course, I would like Ms. Rowland to continue serving this on this board. She has a special needs child. I don't know you personally. Many or all of you do. These are important decisions. That's what I have to say, Mr. Acting Chair. Thank you.
I don't think there's any discussion, or if there is, let's just put that to bed.
Maybe hear from the other board members that are.
Yeah, so there's going to be no discussion or no vote to remove anyone from this board this evening. I know there's a question that was asked that's still on the table that we still haven't answered yet. But I'll let the acting chair re-ask that question later.
Yeah, there is no motion to remove anybody from the board of directors.
Where's their hand? Where's their?
It's
Uh,
Denise.
Yes, Denise.
It's Denise. I just wanted to say, Ed, I appreciate your comments. I appreciate the comments from every member of the board. Obviously, Jake, appreciate all that you're saying. Have to say, just, respectfully, don't. For I understand Teddy having representation, et cetera. Really anything that goes beyond very specific representation that Teddy feels as though she needs, or he is acting in a legal defensive capacity, really don't care to hear his opinions whatsoever. As far as moving forward and this board needs to do, just again, stated respectfully, not to him personally in any way, but feel as though that is truly a waste of time.
Thank you. Angie, Jillian,
Yeah, I'm just a parent. I'm not an attorney. I'm just a parent. But what I have to say is it really bothered me at the last meeting when Teddy used the word political. That word coming out of her mouth really struck a chord in me, and I haven't been able to shake it because I feel like there's an agenda here. I don't know what it is, but it's very uncomfortable, and I feel like not all of the board is being included on decisions that are being made. And like I said, as a parent of a child with special needs, it's upsetting to me because I think I think maybe some people are focusing on the wrong things. Some people are focusing on the stakeholders and this and that, but we got to focus on the people that we support. They're the ones that are important here. And I think that's what's upsetting to me. Anytime I hear the word political, this isn't about politics. This is about people with developmental disabilities. So that's all I have to say.
Hi, this is Jillian. I hope you guys can hear me. Can you guys hear me?
very well.
Okay. I just wanted to say that I agree with Denise on the having the attorney make the comments that they're making. It's nothing personal, but I just don't think that he has the place or the authority to make those comments. I do want to say that I want to get back to doing what we do, and that's serving the disability community in Jackson County. And I also wanted to give my input on the way the Job 1 situation was handled. I'm hoping that letter went out. I don't agree with how the stalling of the letter, and that's really all I have to say.
Thank you. What are you leaving me for?
We could handle this. We could. We should.
I understand that you were in the dark about the escalation of this. And you, as a criminal defense attorney, I try probably less than 2% of the cases. Because I'm very good at finding the happy medium. This kind of contention, this kind of adversarial stuff, I don't like. There was no question in my mind when I sent this first one that we had been intentionally duped by the redaction of that comment. And because the redacted comment came from our chair and the previous copy that was sent to me hadn't, that's why I assumed it was from our chair. And I assumed the comment had been redacted because it in itself could be seen as incendiary, which it was. I resent that it is suggested that I have any agenda, period. Any agenda other than this organization's.
Well,
I was talking to Caleb at 4 o'clock when the ETOS bus pulled up, getting my daughter off. And just like, how the hell did this happen? You know?
yeah, I'll go back to that letter that, Henry read again. I'm just being, I'm glad that we calmed down. I appreciate it much. As well, I get it, I get very much about that as well. Those are special kids, they're all special. You know, the thing of it is, I want to make the point, I'm not doing it for Beth, and I know you're not doing it for your daughter. I look at the people who get off those buses, and they need us. I'm very proud of what we try to achieve with this organization. That letter again, and I think, John, when I look at it, there's nothing in there that's incendiary about this man. I didn't hear that.
You mean the comment on the survey?
No, yes.
Yeah.
I do think we got some toes stepped on. And I think we need to be big enough to realize if it makes a difference, just tell, I wrote the dang thing, okay? Okay, just don't worry about it. You have as an attorney, you get your toes stepped on.
I
every
think
day.
you would have come to me to tell me if that's the way you felt.
No,
And that
possibly, I can't speak for everybody. I think that the thing of it is, if we read into this whole thing, okay, yes, we should have sent the letter. I don't know if timing, there's obviously some confusion and so on. But I will say this, if I got my toes stepped on like something like that when I was in business, I got my toes stomped on every day. Far worse than that. You know what I did? I let it go. I went home and got a good night's rest and moved on. And John, that's what we should have done on this.
I would agree if it was just me. But we're just talking about cohesive leadership going into the executive director search. And I'm not seeing that particularly. in
Once
this.
again, can we just
mistaken?
agree that we try to help everybody be successful in this job search? I tell you, the one thing I do respect and I appreciate, I want a 100% transparent process. You asked me personally to sit on this job, on this detail with George and with Teddy. I'll do it because I've got time. Okay, but I want you and Tammy and Susan and Angie and Jillian and Denise and everybody to be completely involved to help try to replace a man that's been here for 16 years that we all respect and love. That's our job. And that's what we need to do. And I think we need to move back to that and focus on it.
I agree, but I
Okay.
don't feel like it's being, I know Teddy,
Do you think this gal is contentious and that she's a good
I
parent?
haven't
and a
been
good woman?
until lately, and I have no idea
You
why.
got your toes stepped on, John?
No, it's not that. Ed.
Yeah.
I get- I can walk home and my kids and my wife step on my toe. My ego is stomped on by every prosecutor I meet every day. But when I feel like the leadership of the board is being intentionally evasive or deceptive, then I have a problem with the leadership of the
Okay, can
board.
I ask Teddy a question?
Yeah.
Can you do better in communicating with him and with the rest of us moving forward?
With him and then.
With everybody? I mean,
100%.
Okay.
If I failed in being properly communicating, I apologize. This is never, my full goal was to make sure as a chair, I studied up on the role of a chair. This is not something I'm comfortable doing that I've done in a very long time. Studied up on the role, how to make sure everybody's voice is heard,
Right.
reaching out and communicating. However, once I did receive this email, I felt threatened. This email.
Can you let
wanted to remove me.
this email go?
I mean, I
That's what-
didn't.
These are things, you got your toes
This
stepped
is
on.
the point where, I got an
Fair
attorney
question.
when
Yeah.
people said, this is based on statutes. This is a legal hearing. The words in our bylaw is hearing under oath. That's way over my head, which led to discussing with two different attorneys, one who couldn't be here tonight, who's more of an expert.
I think what we need to do is figure out a way to get together again as a group. We have such a good group, such a caring group. and try to work together and move forward on this. I just, this whole process is disturbing. I'm just being honest with everybody. This is not a good place to be.
I would hope that no one who, if someone succeeds me, is chair or is. a
I'd
member
be
of the
scared to
board,
death to have your job right.
Would
I mean,
ever receive an email like this.
I wouldn't,
Because it was,
well, I think it,
Mr. Chair.
Ma'am.
The talk has been that the problem is that you have your toes stepped on. I think I am the one that originated this. When I initially had concerns, I sent them to the vice chair, to the secretary.
and to me,
to-
and I called George,
Okay,
and I told him I was gonna get back into my rock, Tammy, because I read it, and I could feel this coming.
okay, but you never responded to me.
No, I
You never
didn't.
shared with me that you had similar concerns. You never shared with the board in
Similar
general
concerns about what, Tammy? I don't know.
about the maintenance and job one
Oh.
issue and people being extra supportive of Jake.
Yeah.
In 10 years, my real issue with that, it's not being stepped on my toes, it's stepping on Jake's toes. Because in 10 years, yes, there've been issues with job one. I thought we had handled it. Everybody else on the board, I think, thought that we had handled it. In 10 years, Jake has not given me any reason not to support
Absolutely.
him. And I
I've
feel
only been
like
here
this
3.5,
comment
but,
was saying that
well, I just didn't read it into it.
wasn't,
This interpretation.
in culmination with the other things, with Ms. Rowland's insistence on following sunshine, and then the allegations that we can't all get together and talk, which we have tried to do here according to sunshine. And then her, in another case, foregoing sunshine by saying that job one didn't have to make a formal sunshine request in order to get the meeting minutes. I feel like I don't know where her loyalties lie, and I'm not sure that it is with this board rather than one of our providers.
chair, acting chair.
Right.
May
Yes,
I respond? After we had the meeting, I asked Jake if it was possible for me to get the meeting. His person uploaded it to a link. I figured it was probably a big file, needed a link. They sent me that link. When the request came from Mr. Nightingale, the response was that it had to be, uploaded some electronic disk that needed to be picked up. And I just replied back directly to Jake, why can't they just have the link to the video, which simplifies fulfilling the request? It wasn't that I wasn't asking to not fulfill the request. It seemed like the steps requested were making it more difficult in my understanding. And we are a government entity, so it's not like I'm insisting that we follow sunshine law. I believe we're required to do so, and that is required by Missouri law. So I could not see making it more difficult when I was just given a link. Why not give them a link?
Let me ask you this.
Go ahead.
You've admitted you made this survey comment. I assume that I am one of the board members effective at driving an agenda that may not be in the best interest of our providers and the community we serve. I will ask,
Can Jake respond to
oh, yeah, sorry.
the sunshine request?
I respond to these all the time. He requested a copy of the video. And so that's what I was going to give him, was a copy of it.
Yeah, I'm.
And I was just going by our typical process has been in place for over 10 years or more.
I mean, my
And
assumption was
so
they wanted. to see
I
it.
wasn't trying to make it any more difficult. That's what he wanted, and that's what I gave him was a copy. And so for one, that's what I offered. I said I'd get it to him the next day, and
In accordance with sunshine.
yeah, and I
Sure.
sent the receipt that he's supposed to fill out and all that. And then you said, just give him the link. And I said, if you'll approve it that way, I will. And you did, and so that's what I did.
Truly wanted to make it easier, not more difficult. I mean, I feel like that's semantics, and he acknowledged, correct?
Yes.
I believe, yeah.
So do you have any issue with the link?
Pardon?
Do you have any issue with receiving the link?
No, not that I'm aware of.
Do you have any issues accessing the link?
Aware of.
So.
I would want to ask, and this may not be the proper forum, but after this meeting, I'm not sure that I would get a straight answer. It's clear that you feel very genuinely about certain board members effective at driving an agenda that may not be in the best interest of our providers and the community we serve. And, you know, that was months ago. And it surprises me that a person could sit in the position of chair and glean that sentiment from anybody that's on the board. And so I submit that the observation is skewed, not in the object you're seeing, but in the glasses you're wearing. My challenge would be for you to specifically say how you came to the conclusion that I or anybody else is driving an agenda that is not in the best interest of our providers and the community. Our board, our executive director is partially retired, going to be leaving. Yes.
You know, the statement was, the question was, what would be the challenges facing an incoming executive director? We, as all board members, have due diligence to be transparent in that process. Facilities, this was specifically addressing facilities, our facilities that, you know, some of them are better than others, and we should probably more frequently go and visit those facilities, as George and I did out there in Grandview. We as, you know, sometimes we are kind of, our heads is a little in the sand. If we don't see it, then it's not bad. That is a legitimate challenge facing an incoming executive director.
But those
It is-
issues should be brought to the board rather than the outside agency.
I don't think it was brought to the outside agency. I think when we were touring the facility, just no different than when we go on any tour that we used to do before our pandemic. We pick new board members, we offer a tour annually to kind of see the property, kind of see all the things that we fund and that we service. And then when you do those things, you kind of see some of these other issues. So it wasn't anything that they were going through and said, oh, by the way, while you're here, look at this, look at this, look at this. It was me just kind of noticing, well, that's, why do we have this, why do we have this, why do we have this? But I would bring those things up in an appropriate fashion when we have our property committee. I get to ask those questions to our facilities person at that time, say, hey, I have some concerns about these X, Y, Z. And then when I ask them at that point to address it as necessary, and report back to us that it's done. So it wasn't anything that the people at Job One there in Grandview said, oh, since you're here, this occurred. I just think that, I guess I have to ask the question to my other 8 members. We elected Teddy to be our chair a couple months back. And part of that is that we thought that she could lead the organization for at least the next year. Then I have to ask is, have we done our best to support our leader in the last couple of months? If not, I suggest that we step up and do so. Because my biggest issue is I see and looking at all the names and all the people on the screen right now, they're looking right now to see what are we going to do as an organization. Take Jake aside, take him out of the equation. Because this group of 9 people is going to bring in the next person to replace that chair. And if we don't have solid agreement, if we have discord amongst ourselves, I don't want to bring anybody in that chair right now.
Absolutely.
So whatever needs to happen, I think we need to come to a decision where we're gonna do and move forward. If we believe that we can agree that, hey, we probably should do some more to help support Teddy, we can put some other things in place to make sure those things are better communicated, and let's go forth and do so. But I think to keep this sitting here and beat this point over and over and over again, I think we all can agree that horse is dead and is on his way out. This means it's 8 o'clock. We've been talking about the same thing for an hour and a half. So I just ask that we can try to come, think about the things that is brought forward, think about those things, bring forth to the question. I mean, we're looking at, when we're looking at Article, Section 9.3, duty of care.
No.
No, hold on. Duty of care, right? Is she neglectful of duty of care? Think about that.
That's for the
Hold
removal
on,
of a board
hold
member.
on, I'm not done. Think about that as we're putting together a vote. Duty of loyalty, has she been disloyal to the organization? If you believe that she has, then make your vote. If you believe that she hasn't, and we haven't done our best job to support her, then make your vote that way. Duty of obedience, again, make your vote on that point, in addition to the other things as far as conduct, judicial, et cetera, et cetera. I just think we need to move off this point, turn the page, and then leave this room in some kind of agreement.
Do you think that's
And then we need to move
possible?
on.
Do you think that's possible with her having an attorney present? Do you think there's even a point of
If-
having a vote?
Well, here's my.
Can we ask the attorney to leave?
No, hold on.
Can we?
No, hold on.
No?
So, because
Would you?
he's representing her. I don't.
He said he's leaving.
That's fine. So I guess if I answer John's question, for me, I'm not even, I was done talking to him before the meeting started, when I found out who he was. So at this point, he's just a shadow beyond him. I'm not talking to that man. Anything he says is, okay, fine, and I'm keep moving.
Mr. Holbert, can you just scoot your chair back?
But,
Just scoot back.
yeah,
Scoot back.
but
He has
I
no-
think
he
it's
has
a-
no input in this meeting.
I think it's a decision that the other 8 folks on this board need to come to a decision to do so.
I agree.
That's all.
So, final comment, I'll keep it very short.
I
During a survey, I was told that that would be confidential. And my response was operating under the idea that it was confidential for the Moran Company. If communication, if we crashed on communication, I swear on my children's lives that we will focus on that. I am committed to that. If there's been a failing, I assure you, I am not looking for that to happen again. I appreciate. I'm gonna cry. This has been incredibly stressful. And yet, to have received the other comments, we addressed it, we talked about it, I could respond. I felt like it was working out. Once I received this email, I was devastated. It was traumatic, it was hurtful. And I pray that no one on this board, if you ever have a difference of opinion, that you would be subject to this kind of commentary to you. The support I've been given, I'm immensely grateful for. This has been a very hurtful process, but I have tried so hard just to work on being the best chair possible. I honestly have. I pulled up reading every article I could, trying to make sure all points were represented. But it's impossible to fight back against people communicating and saying terrible things about me behind my back and misrepresenting what I've done. So on that point, I agree with George.
I guess one of the questions I would get, Eddie, is can you move on as well? I know you prefer.
Of course, yes, 100%, 100%. I've been asked to continue to serve. I will.
Oh, Denise, I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
Denise.
Yeah, I'm sorry, and I appreciate the comments from everyone. I mean, save, as I've already stated, the person who's completely unaffiliated with the board or anything involving these discussions. I think, some of my comments actually are practical comments that I'm going to make. First of all, that I feel very honored being a part of this board. I am sorry because of some medical issues that I have had to miss some meetings. And I'm also, of course, I am so sorry for what Teddy is going through, just as I am sorry for the times, frankly, our dear leader Jake has gone through. And frankly, Teddy, I think you have been someone that has caused him great distress, not intentionally. I think I potentially am someone who's caused him and others great distress. I do not believe that is intentional. I apologize that it has occurred. I think you have also, Teddy, spoken very freely, a little paternalistic. I understand why at times. I think there is no doubt of you wanting to do an excellent job in this role. I don't think that is in doubt, as you said, reading things, trying to do things. As I said, none of us ever come, the sort of throwing stones with clean hands. I have heard you at meetings or different things, and that's fine. It's how we need to speak freely. But also, as I said, either with Jake or Tom or others, some meetings that I've left with my heart a little sore, and a little sore for Jake, knowing what he's doing. But I understand and believe your goal in that, though, is to do what you believe are your fiduciary duties as a board member and now as a chair. Here is where I get on the practical side, is we need to move forward as a board, and we have a goal, and the goal is taking care of the people on the board, or excuse me, the people we are supporting. As Angie said, my response would have been, had I felt I was really getting a no confidence vote from those around me or those others, is to think, especially in this critical process, I personally probably would have stepped down from the chair, understanding where we are now. I'm not putting fault on someone. I understand everyone's going to say, well, that's great, Denise. Then anytime any turmoil happens, someone will step down. Well, we know that's not true, because I don't think historically it's been true. For whatever reason, and there are, as far as quote, arguing the facts back and forth, everybody can say things should have been handled better, differently. I understand what you're talking about, the email from John. As I said, I've seen some pretty strong emails from you, Teddy. You can say they weren't sort of this attacking personally. I understand that. But I have also stepped back a little and jumped back and said, whoa, let's hold on. You may be the chair. You're not the principal. What has happened here is, I believe, is we are in a position, at least to a certain extent, of what I'll call the no confidence right now. And we have these factors that are occurring, which, as I said, before of ever considering going to an attorney, I would have immediately, and this is, again, I'm saying it's personal, practical, would have myself gone, then maybe I am not the most effective in this role, versus bringing it to an attorney being present. And we got here. I understand what you're saying about being threatened and feeling that way. And again, we each make our personal decisions, but that is how I feel. And so I feel is we have gotten to a place of, at least to a certain extent, of no confidence when it comes to you as a chair, and whether or not the quote facts all hold up quote in court for your attorney and quote presenting evidence. Nobody's presenting evidence here. It's not what we're trying to do. Trying to discuss how to best move forward and serve these incredible folks that we serve.
Thank you. Somebody else up there has their hand. But this brings us to the horns of a dilemma.
I think we have a motion on the table.
Well, we do, but just so we're clear, the presence of legal counsel on Teddy's behalf and the,
I was given advice to have representation. You've been acting as an attorney. I was presented with the legalities of removing me, and again, formalized hearing, an oath. I was concerned about protecting my interests. If you read the bylaws, it has very specific language in that proceeding. And it wasn't until late last night that
we communicated that it seemed prudent to have representation.
Yes.
John, how do you feel?
How do I feel?
About this
Like
process?
shit.
Okay. Thoughts? Where do we-
Yeah, I
you want to close the door?
no.
I'm sorry, what was the question? I didn't hear the last statement.
How I felt. And my butt's kind of numb from sitting here this long, but that's about it.
Oh, well.
sorry.
Okay, I don't need to hear that.
What? I'm sorry.
She was asking for a comment that she didn't hear, and so she got the comment, and she's regretting her decision to ask for the comment.
John,
I
don't
get that a
know.
lot.
I don't know if this is the right time, but I don't think that anything is at the right time tonight. Just sitting, most of the time, trying to take some notes.
I'm sorry.
And I don't know. We need to get on with our work. And I don't know, I see, we can have a work session. We can have a work session without anybody there but us, we can do that. And I don't know what happened with this board, but it wasn't like this when I first got on. It wasn't like this. And it's a good board. Right now we're struggling, but I think there are good people here that can go places with this. But I think right now we need some healing and we need some maybe communication. How to communicate with each other, how to not take on things, how to not, I mean, you and I have had our times when I've tried to get a word in, I finally just quit at work meetings. There are, and it's just that you are more forceful than I. And so I would just be, okay, we're talking, maybe I'll get a word in. But that's just you and I. I mean, that's just the difference in personality. But I think that there are some things that we probably need to work out.
Do you think a change in chairperson is one of
At this point, right now, I think we've aired everything that we could possibly air. I think we all know where we stand. I think we see things that have been misunderstood or miscommunicated or intentional. Things have happened. Me being the personality I am, I would do as Denise. If I knew I didn't have confidence, it'd be like, why am I going to stay? It's like if I'm getting all these bad things from when I had a job, I'd say, well, why did I stay? They don't want me. I'm out of here. But I do think we need to work. And I think right now, trying to do that and hire a new person to fill these enormous shoes that we've got might be difficult to do.
I'd like to pile on for commentary as well. Thank you, Susan, for saying that. I think we call this a learning experience, but I don't know. I mean, those stepped on, miscommunications, things of that nature. I'd just like to see teamwork and move on. And I guess the opportunity is, if we see a need moving forward, then we bring this back to focus. She's made a commitment to move on. You've made a commitment to help, and I'd just like to see us move forward as a team again. And I agree with Susan. This has been such a good group to work with.
I think part of our opportunity right now is our anxiety is replacing this man. That's not his fault, or anybody else's fault, but we have some anxiety about that. I know the employees do as well. And I think that's creating part of our opportunity here, and I think we just need to treat this as a learning experience, as a cohesive unit, and work through this together, all 9 of us. And that's my thoughts.
I mean, yeah, you said what I would have said. I mean, it's evident by, and I'm not gonna knock the people that are on the screen right now, but I have more people here for this meeting than we do for a regular board meeting. So it kind of shows the importance of what we're dealing with. Because, like you mentioned, we have staff that are concerned. We have providers that are concerned. We have a lot of residents of Jackson County that are concerned about the direction that we're going forward. We also have concerns about the person that we have hired to reach out and say, see if you can bring us somebody. And she's like, I don't know, because you got all this mess going on. If I want to bring somebody in here. So like I said before, we have to come to a.
aware?
Well, she's aware to talk to her. She is fully aware before I even called her. Oh, I know. Okay, well, yeah, let's have a conversation. So it's not a secret that we're having these issues, but like I said before, and I'll continue to say over and over again, anyone that asks, we have 9 people that are on this board who are here because they're very passionate, they care about the work that we do. Now, sometimes that passion is the best of us, absolutely. Has it gotten the best of us right now? Heck yeah. But I think we get past it because again, I think we're all focused on what is best for ETOS and the IDD community here in Jackson County. So as I said a couple minutes ago, whatever we have to do, let's get to it, make a decision, live with it, move on and start the healing process because we have to bring healing to our board, which would begin the executive director and all the staff underneath him and all the people on the screen, a piece of, okay, they worked it out, we're gonna be okay. Versus they had a meeting and I don't know what they're gonna do. So, I mean, I personally have never gotten a call from Frank until yesterday. So at that point I realized, oh, this is a big deal.
How
So-
did it happen that Frank called us? He called me as well. How did that occur? Were there discussions with Frank by anyone on the board?
I don't think there's a discussion with Frank anywhere on the board. I think what you have is you have a public meeting that is at this level that he's like, hey, what's happening with one of the boards that I kind of appoint in the
So-
county? I
So
think he has
Frank
to
looks at our,
that it is.
so Frank does look at our agendas every week and wonders what's going on. I was just surprised by that. I guess I thought,
I think-
so no one went and talked to Frank and alerted him to this, correct?
Not that I'm aware of, but I do think that it's a.
So
public
Teddy, neither
county
Teddy nor
board.
her attorney did.
I don't know. I didn't ask him that directly, but again, he had.
Okay, because I plan on asking him when I talk to him, because that's another thing I want to know. I feel like that's, again, I actually didn't call him back. George, one reason I didn't is because I felt part of the problem is we need to speak as a board and not speak as Denise Talbert.
Right, but I think once you get to this level of chaos, I think he and probably some of the other legislators are like, hey, what's happening down there, on Hillcrest? We gotta figure that out.
And I'm just wondering how they would have been informed of the quote level of chaos.
I think if you get an agenda that gets sent out and say, you're talking about removing someone from the board, that's a level of chaos they're gonna be pretty concerned with.
Yeah, I just am shocked that they'd be looking at ETOS agendas. That's the only way they'd see it. But regardless, I plan on finding out from him.
Did you go to Frank?
I'm just gonna ask a
There
question.
you go. Where you go.
I talked to Frank. He called me to the office. So when he calls me to his office, I show up. Yes. And he was the agenda, he was shown the agenda and the agenda said I was being removed. And he felt like he appointed us and that this was an affront to his appointment. And he respects, I've said this before, he put me on this board because he wants me to stand up and speak my mind on issues. I think we all have a responsibility to do that. And he had great concern about that. He expressed that and he expressed his support for me in that he very much wants me here. And I appreciated that support. I was incredibly touched by it, to know that that is the case.
There's no question about your dedication to this cause. It's just a question of leadership.
This meeting is going to end in 9 minutes.
Okay.
I'm glad I set it up for 2 hours. But I don't know if there's
The way
I don't know if there's any leeway. I mean,
The way I see it is,
is there?
given the memorandum that's been distributed by her attorney. If we have. a vote-
I think those memos should be destroyed for almost. I don't really, I'm just talking more my Denise frustration about this, but regardless.
But it's so anti-sunshiny of you.
Oh,
But
I don't,
My
you know,
point is that-
well,
my
because
point
the
is that-
whole thing, yeah,
No,
regardless.
I just think if, how are we gonna vote on a chair who shows up with an attorney and tells us we're not having a legal meeting and no vote we're taking is of any consequence anyway, and that we're going to be sued? I'm not
I
comfortable
never
calling
said
for
we were
that
going to
vote.
sue. Never said we were going to be sued. Never, ever.
Well, you were represented by counsel who did state that to me.
And said, this is not evidence, et cetera. I mean, he was essentially going on record. I mean, I get, Teddy, you brought, that's what you felt like you need to do. Part of me, I feel like that's the record I want erased.
My non-legal opinion was it felt like that was the threat.
Yes, and so I'm not comfortable calling for a vote.
Agreed.
Agreed. I mean, it's sort of that the
So-
motion is withdrawn. I have a motion on the
Motion is
motion.
tabled.
Which one is,
Can we table the motion?
you can table the motion if you need to, if you desire to.
That then was
I don't
our-
think we had a desire to. I think it is unfortunate that we're at that position.
What is our next steps?
I mean, I don't think we have Robert's rules to
What are our
parliamentarian to.
What would be
You
the next
you can
step?
table the motion, but then the question is, when do you bring it up? And then what happens next? Because you can't just table it you get the can on the road sometime in July.
We're gonna
You need to
send
figure it
the
out.
memorandums to our lawyer, and then he can tell us whether or not we violated any of the sunshine laws with regard to notice and an opportunity to be heard.
So those legal fees will come out of the monies that we need to use to support our folks.
I'm sorry?
And those legal fees come out of the money that we need to use to support our folks.
I know.
But-
In the meantime, I stand ready to support our current chair. So the next meeting on the matter. I don't have any other, is there any other public comment? Race you home.
I know the meeting be adjourned. Those in favor, John,
Aye.
Aye.
opposed?
So we're supposed, thank you, everybody that's on the screen. We'll
Bye, guys.
talk again.
Thank you.